So why is it that Greenwood County is so attractive to big companies like that, especially industrial companies? Because it's not companies that are big artistic powerhouses. It's manufacturing,
right.
It's textiles. I know that there's some history here to this area being
right.
Friendly to that, but why now? Why Greenwood County?
So South Carolina in general is pro-manufacturing, right? We're a manufacturing state. We make things. We've got BMW, you've got Volvo, you've got Mercedes, you've got Boeing, and you've got Ascend, and you've got Fuji, and you've got what Greenwood has. Right. So overall, what happens is these companies are like, hey, we want to locate a new operation. They kind of look at the whole country. Usually they're either international looking in the U.S. or they're U.S. looking in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And then they narrow it down to who does a lot of manufacturing, who's kind of got a good positive work environment, not too high of a tax structure, low cost of living. And so what Greenwood's niche is, and then there's kind of what you're talking about, like you're saying that we're not necessarily like video game design headquarters.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, there's a term, it's called clustering is what they call it.
Gotcha.
So clustering is when companies start grouping around each other. And what clustering leads to is like the Silicon Valley, but it also leads to the Greenwood effect, where there's a definite clustering of international automotive in the Upstate. Right. And then there's definitely a clustering of software developers in Silicon Valley. And it just keeps building momentum, because if somebody wants to set up and hire more software developers, they're going to Silicon Valley. But if somebody wants to set up and do automotive, they're coming to the Upstate.
Right.
Yeah. Greenwood specifically has a lot of metalworking. Mm-hmm. And you can do numbers where you see what sectors everybody works in. So we've got metalworking clustering. Then we have our textile, which works into, they said that this is it's kind of mythology, but I think there's truth to it, that when they decided to bring BMW here, they looked at the skills transferability of mill workers to assembly teams, and they're very close. Yeah. So you were going to have to teach them some new skills, but they knew like 85% of what they had to know to make a BMW because they had worked in the mills. And we have similar stuff, but then if you think about it, Teijin, they're making fibers. Ascend Performance Materials making fibers. So we're still making fiber. Like it's different now. We're making carbon fiber. We're not making cotton. Right. But there's some similarities with that. And then the metalworking is just, we have a lot of metalworking. We have Mack. We have Caterpillar. We have Monty. We have Eaton. Yeah. Those are all metalworking. They create different products, but inherently they're machining stuff, and they're cutting stuff, and they're bending stuff, and welding stuff. And welders are really hard to find, but we have like some crazy, like I think 100% more welders per capita than the average America. Right. And then we have a lot more chemical engineers per capita, like 150% more. Wow. Because you've got Fujifilm, you've got Ascend, they all need chemical engineers. Yeah. So that clustering happens, and then when someone's like, oh, I need to find some place to do metal work and I need engineering staff, we can make the argument that, hey, there's a lot of engineers within 45 minutes, we've got the metal workers, we got more welders than any place else, and our cost of living's low. Yeah. And we're excited to have you. Like, we're happy to have you, which is a big part of it. You kind of saw it with the Amazon HQ too. Yeah. You got to be receptive. It's very much like any other business relationship.
That was a big loss.
Yeah, you got to make sure you show the love